She confessed, "I'm so overwhelmed. I need a solo mental health weekend away." I responded, "Your well-being is priority." Later, I noticed a charge for a couple's retreat on our shared credit card. I stayed silent. Instead, I used my own mental health weekend to replace the locks and move her belongings to the driveway. My girlfriend of 4 years, Emily, claimed she needed a weekend alone for mental health. I gazed at her, saw the alleged tension in her eyes, and urged her to take as long as she needed. Her well-being, I emphasized, was paramount. Her deception was so artfully crafted for our era, so considerate, so utterly beyond reproach. The reality, though, surfaced 2 hours later via a credit card alert. The charge was $785 for a romantic weekend package at a spa resort 2 states away. For the past 6 months, our existence had centered on Emily's stress. She was swamped at work, exhausted by her social circle, and drained by life overall. I strove to be the ideal supportive partner. I handled extra chores, managed all grocery trips, and ensured dinner awaited her arrival. I listened for hours as she vented her struggles, offering what I believed were helpful suggestions. I mastered preparing soothing baths and giving comforting shoulder massages. Our life together turned into a mission, and that mission was tending to Emily's delicate mental state. Initially, I didn't mind. I loved her and believed in teamwork. When one partner falters, the other steps in. That's the deal. But as months passed, I sensed an odd disconnect. For someone so supposedly depleted, she had ample energy for late-night texting that lit up her face and for sudden happy hours with a new coworker, Greg. When I gently probed, she claimed these were her only escapes, the few things preserving her sanity. I felt ashamed for even doubting her. So, when she approached me last Tuesday with her grand plan, I was already conditioned to agree. She sat me down, her expression a portrait of weary honesty. In a soft, fragile tone, she said, "I think I need a weekend alone just to disconnect completely, to be with my thoughts and rediscover my balance. No phone, no social media, just me, a book, and nature." It sounded so sensible, so wholesome. "Of course," I replied instantly. "Whatever you need. Where are you planning to go?" "There's a small cabin retreat I found online," she said vaguely. "It's very simple, all about avoiding distractions. So this weekend, I need you to understand. No updates, no contact. I'll switch my phone off when I arrive and back on when I leave Sunday afternoon. I need your trust." I agreed to it all. I told her I admired her for prioritizing her mental health. I helped her map out directions to a vague mountain area. I felt like a caring, supportive boyfriend. 2 hours after her solo retreat pitch, my phone pinged. It was a fraud alert from our joint credit card, one I mostly paid. The alert flagged a large, out-of-state purchase. I opened the app, ready to report a stolen card. Then I saw it. Whispering Pines Spa Resort, $785. My first reaction was bewilderment. That wasn't a rustic cabin. I knew Whispering Pines, a luxury resort famed for romantic getaways. I checked the transaction details. The description was a digital gut punch. Couple's romantic getaway package. The air left my lungs. No anger at first, just a cold, piercing clarity like the world snapping into harsh focus. Every late-night text, every secretive smile, every stress complaint reframed itself. It wasn't a plea for help. It was a calculated alibi. I visited the resort's website and found the package. A king suite with a fireplace, champagne, and chocolate-dipped strawberries on arrival, as a 90-minute couples massage and private hot springs access. This wasn't about finding her center. It was a lover's escape for 2. I didn't call or text her for answers. She'd set a no-contact rule, and I chose to honor it with absolute commitment. She wanted a weekend free of her real-life's distractions. I'd ensure she got exactly that. I shut my laptop. My own mental health weekend was starting. The mission was no longer managing Emily's stress. It was removing her from my life. Update 1. Friday morning came. The toughest part was the act. I had to play the supportive, slightly forlorn boyfriend. I brewed her coffee, helped load her bag into her car, and gave her a lingering hug. "Take care of yourself," I said, my voice remarkably steady. "Don't worry about things here. Your well-being comes first." "Thank you for understanding," she replied, kissing me. "I love you. See you Sunday." I watched her car vanish down the street, then turned back, took a deep, cleansing breath. The house already felt calmer, lighter. The work began. My first call was to a 24-hour locksmith I found online. Within an hour, a professional arrived. I had him replace every lock, front door, back door, garage side door. He rekeyed the deadbolts and installed new high-security knobs. I paid cash and he handed me gleaming new keys that felt solid in my hand. The crisp click of the new key and the new lock marked the true start of my healing. Phase 2 was the purge. I moved through the house with the precision of a moving crew. I began in the bathroom, sweeping her makeup, creams, and hair products into cardboard boxes. Then the bedroom closet. Her clothes, shoes, an absurd collection of designer bags, likely funded by our shared card. I didn't toss anything. I folded clothes neatly, wrapped shoes carefully. This wasn't rage, it was cleansing, removing a toxin from my space. As I packed, I found traces of her betrayal. A receipt from a fancy restaurant in a city she never mentioned, tucked in a coat pocket, an unfamiliar, costly bracelet in a jewelry box I hadn't bought. Each find was further validation, another reason for my actions. It took all of Friday and most of Saturday. I packed her books, decorative pillows, and the live, laugh, love signs she'd hung in the kitchen. I erased her, box by box. I moved all 47 boxes to the garage, stacking them against the wall. Then I cleaned. I deep-cleaned the entire house, scrubbed floors, washed windows, dusted neglected surfaces. I rearranged the living room to how it was before she moved in. I reclaimed my space. By Saturday night, the house felt like mine again. The air was free, unburdened. To ensure everything was proper, I called my best friend Tom. I briefly explained the situation. He didn't offer useless advice, just asked, "What do you need?" "A witness," I said, "and maybe help moving boxes tomorrow." On Sunday morning, 4 hours before Emily's return, Tom arrived. We moved all 47 boxes to the driveway's end, near the trash cans, arranging them in a neat, towering pyramid, an unmistakable statement. On the top box, I placed a waterproof sleeve with a single paper. The credit card statement, the Whispering Pines charge highlighted in bright yellow. Tom took photos of the boxes, documenting their condition and placement, just in case. He was a true friend. We went inside, sat in my reorganized living room, drank a beer, and waited. Update 2. At around 3:15 p.m. Sunday, her car turned onto our street. I watched from the living room window, Tom nearby. She looked relaxed, slightly sunburned, with a calm smile, her mental health weekend clearly a triumph. She stepped out, stretched, and approached the front door, rummaging for her keys. The first sign of trouble was the key not fitting. She tried once, twice, annoyance flickering across her face. She tested the knob. It didn't budge. Annoyance turned to confusion. She stepped back, scanning the house as if seeing it anew. Then she spotted it. The mountain of her life at the driveway's end. Her walk to the boxes was a silent film masterpiece. Slow at first, then quickening as reality hit. She reached the first box, saw her handwriting, winter sweaters. She tore it open, then another, makeup, then another, shoes. Her movements grew frantic, a storm of panic. Finally, she found the document sleeve, ripped it open, and pulled out the highlighted statement. She stared at it, frozen, for a long time. Her shoulders slumped, and she collapsed onto the lawn, face in her hands. Minutes later, my phone rang. I put it on speaker. Tom leaned in. A raw, primal wail came through. "Ben, what did you do? What's happening?" I sipped my beer, voice calm. "Welcome back, Emily. Good weekend?" "My things. Why are they in the driveway? I can't get in." "I had my own mental health weekend," I said evenly. It was very clarifying. I did some cleaning, reorganizing. I found my mental health needed a space free of deceit and clutter. So I decluttered. A choked sob came through. "You can't do this. This is crazy. I live here." "No, you don't," I corrected softly. "You stayed here. This is my house, Emily, and your stay is done." She switched from victim to aggressor. "I'm calling the police. This is a legal eviction." "Please do," I said, voice now icy. "I'm sure they'll want your story. You can explain why you tried breaking into a house you don't own. I have a witness. We'll wait." She did. 20 minutes later, a police cruiser arrived, a spectacle on our quiet street. Neighbors peeked out. 2 officers spoke to a distraught Emily, then approached my door. I opened it before they knocked, Tom behind me. The officer was professional but stern. "Sir, this woman claims you've locked her out of her home and dumped her belongings outside." I nodded. "Officer, this is my house," I said calmly, handing over my driver's license and a property tax bill. "She was my girlfriend, a guest here. She's no longer welcome. Her belongings are neatly and safely at the driveway's end, undamaged." The officer reviewed my documents, glanced at the boxes, Then at Emily, sobbing. He sighed, familiar with such dramas. He spoke to her briefly. I couldn't hear, but the result was clear. He couldn't force me to let her in. It was a civil matter. Defeated and humiliated, Emily called her father. An hour later, his pickup arrived. He looked ashamed as they loaded her life into the truck, a public display for all to see. Final update. 4 months have passed since my mental health weekend. My home is serene, secure, my life transformed for the better. The story of Emily's belongings in the driveway with a police visit spread through our circles. Her attempt to vilify me crumbled when the couple's getaway charge surfaced. Betrayal's receipt undermines victimhood. I learned the other man was Greg, her married coworker, as I'd suspected. I didn't act on it. His life wasn't my concern. My issue was Emily, and I'd resolved it. I heard Greg's